Hello, this is the Single Malt Review, and today's whiskey comes to us from Canada. We've been to Canada recently with the Lot 40 rye whiskey, which is, safe to say, one of the best whiskies we've tried this or any year.
Hands down, the best Canadian whiskey. And so, really, there was only one direction to go, and we've gone there. It's time for Crown Royal, which comes in this, goodness, it's enrobed, they probably call it, in this lovely bottle sock. And inside you'll find a mostly empty, so it's obviously drinkable, bottle of Crown Royal Fine Deluxe TN, blended Canadian whiskey. Ontario, Canada. So there you go, Canadian whiskey. And from what I gather, one of the big two, the other one being Canadian Club. Crown Royal, and I will preface this so I don't make people angry, Crown Royal probably makes some really excellent Canadian whiskey. They do not ship it to New Zealand. What they ship to New Zealand is the Fine Deluxe, lovingly enrobed bottle. So, though I'm sounding negative, this is going to be a story of redemption. There is going to be a redemptive arc to this, because I am going to pour you a wee nip of this. You are going to give your reaction, because I have, as you can see, had plenty already. And while you are doing that, I'm going to fix you a cocktail. And then I think we'll all see the turn.
Alright.
So
we have 40%.
First, the bad news.
Probably filtered, probably coloured, blend of all manner of Canadian whiskey. This blend apparently dates back to the royal visit in 1939. It got started then and has stuck around.
Yes, indeed.
Curiously, slightly coppery colour.
I think very safe to assume this one's coloured there, Dave. If we're going to be sure of anything, be sure of that.
Oh, it smells of licorice. First and foremost. Licorice strap. And on the tongue we have moderate alcohol, a lot more, licorice root, some hints of American whiskey, maybe some malt spirit as well. It is light on flavour, but the flavours it does have are quirky and peculiar.
Would you say it's a smooth whiskey?
It is very hard to pin down. There is quite a heavy rye influence, I think. But it's a little at odds with the rye we've tried in the past, both young and matured.
Because my first thought upon tasting this whiskey was, my goodness, that's raw.
Right.
There is, or maybe it was just me, maybe it was just my palate that day, but I thought that was some of the most, I'm drinking industrial alcohol savagery on the palate that I've encountered in a really very, very long time.
Well, and maybe this has mellowed somewhat. This bottle was nearly empty after many months of enjoyment on your part, so obviously it's been a lot of time to aerate. So this is a bit softened. Also, the last whiskey we tried before this was heavily peated, so this is going to seem sweet and mild in comparison.
Maybe so.
Well, it is making me think this should be in a cocktail, possibly even an old-fashioned.
If it was not abundantly clear, I don't like this whiskey to sip. I think it's. I think you're being manifestly generous compared to what I'd.
Right.
Oh, see, it just. I think it has gotten a wee bit better with the bottle age being so low, but yeah, it's just very, very hard edged. No, I think it has one destination.
All right.
The final destination. I'll drop my chopstick. Oh, live demo, folks. So what I have constructed here is a very, very simple old-fashioned. It's really only one way to make them.
Sugar syrup, Angostura bitters, and some muddled orange peel.
Whiskey of choice, along with muddled, yes. You might have thought I was dosing it with some vintage famous grass. That's just the bottle I keep my sugar water in.
It looks like candle wax is in fact just sugar that's dried.
All right, see, there we go. Now, get ready to put on your wowzer trousers, because this transforms the beverage. I've made this one just a hair sweet, but why is there smoke coming out of the air conditioner?
Whoa.
That's not normal.
Let's take a break.
5.
Crisis averted. Technology is in fact fine. It was just doing something we're not seeing before. Emitting clouds of steam.
Emitting steam.
Yes. I most recently had an old-fashioned at a rather splendid wedding. It was made with 15-year-old Chivas Regal blended Scotch. It was tasty. I'm expecting something also tasty now.
That's the good thing about the old-fashioned. You don't need 15-year-old Chivas
No.
Regal. The old-fashioned is the great equaliser, and it is, I think, very appropriate to make one out of Canadian whisky because that's where, historically, a lot of it went. I say Crown Royal Fine Deluxe is savage and harsh and all this thing, and it is, but in a very historic way, that's the true taste of Canadian whisky, the sort of the bootleg flavour that gave rise to all of these mixed drinks was to make it palatable. So maybe Crown Royal is the truest of all Canadian whiskies. Who knows? But like I
that
said,
is an excellent mix. That is the whiskey is working well. It's bringing out the sweetness of the oranges, the assorted flavours of the bitters. It is carrying all those other components really well. This is quite a small measure, so the orange is coming through strongly. It's a very fruity old-fashioned, but I like it, and it is a great use of our whiskey.
yeah, we should do an episode on whiskey cocktails at one point. I think the old-fashioned really is king because it is just so versatile, and until you get into properly weird whiskey like peated and so on, it will take anything and shine in almost all situations. You know,
Yeah.
there's no need to throw old Scotch at it, but you can. You won't get a bad result. You're probably not really doing the Scotch justice, but you'll certainly produce a fine old fashioned.
Yeah.
And you can throw, I'm hesitant to say garbage, but you can throw the cheapest of the cheap at it, and it will still perform. It's a very robust cocktail in a way that so many of them aren't. It's like the anti-martini. Martini will show up all the faults in the gin that you've bought for more or little money. But the sugar, the bitters, and the orange are all such big primary overriding flavours. They will just bulldoze whatever whiskey you've got there, and they will just, the alcohol is just there as fuel.
And you can make it sweeter or drier to taste.
Yeah.
What I had before, last one had a relatively small bit of peel, very big tumbler, and a thin layer of brown sugar on the bottom.
Yeah, I suspect
quite dry,
I've made
but
this
it's
one
still
a bit sweet, but you can test and adjust. Would you hazard a score for the Crown Royal in its basic state? Personally,
Hard to say. I need to probably analyse it more thoroughly. I've got some left in the last. Let's give it another look. Oddly, for a no age statement, blended whiskey of all kinds of interesting mixed provenance, it has things going for it. I like that it has some unique spicy characters. It has a big hit of licorice, which I'm not used to in a whiskey.
Licorice.
So I'd happily give it. Yeah, licorice trap was one of the overriding notes there on the nose and on the tongue. But also some hefty amount of rye. So really, I'd comfortably give that 74 points.
There you go. So, Crown Royal, serviceable even at its basic level. But what I would be really fascinated to see is I'll have to have a rummage around and see if I can find some of their better stuff, because they do better stuff. They do a black, which is stipulated to be a bit older, and 45%, 90 proof, which is a lot better than the 40. They do XOs, they do, goodness knows, they do an apple flavoured one, they do a cinnamon flavoured one. I probably don't want to taste those ones because they're uniformly awful, but they do a lot of stuff, so it would be interesting. What is your favourite Crown Royal? Drinkers in North America, please let us know in the comments, because you're the guys with the access to it. We're just here table scraps down here in New Zealand. So
because we do learn an awful lot from our commenters. You guys are a wellspring of knowledge on all kinds of esoteric whiskies or even popular whiskies, which we just don't have the background on. So please do enlighten us.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, that was the very last of the Crown Royal. It's time for the last and possibly most dangerous tasting of all. We'll catch you back very, very shortly.
Today.
For today,
Not for the show.
No,
just for this particular session.
You'll know when it's that one. It'll be the last episode. So hopefully, episodes to continue very, very shortly. Slanger, we'll be right back.